We're good, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Will. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our Tuesday, April 21st, 2026 council meeting. And we'll start with disclosure of pecuniary interest. Thank you. Now I would like to welcome Tim McBride and Alana Valley, and thank you for coming and doing our presentation this evening for landfill monitoring update, and thank you.
Yes, good evening. Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for having Alana and I here tonight and to present the findings of 2025's results to you and your council. I know we have a chance to work with your staff throughout the year, but we do relish the opportunity to present our work to your group as well. So thanks for that. Alana, do you want to share the screens or share the slideshow?
I have it open, but the screen sharing is disabled.
Oh, you should be good now. You have it? There we go.
Good. Okay.
All right, so we can skip this one. Yeah, so for those of you that maybe aren't familiar with me, I'm Tim McBride. I'm the National Practice Specialist for Pynchon for hydrogeology. So I deal with contaminated groundwater as well as, water resources for, municipal and potable supplies. Alana, my counterpart here, has been with me for a number of years, probably more than you'd believe based on her appearance. But yeah, she's a PEng and our project manager on this portfolio. So Alana is very involved in your two sites with the annual monitoring as well as your asset retirement obligations. And she's also involved in the design for options for expansion for the sites as well. So just real quick before I let Alana run away with this, we're going to talk about both the Wolf Lake site and the Bear Creek site. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the 2025 annual monitoring reports and the recommendations that come out of those, just in case they have any implications for your group as far as budget or anything like that. We're going to give you an update of the remaining capacity of both sites. And then specifically, we're going to talk about where we're at with the potential expansion process for the Bear Creek site.
I'll start with going over the 2025 monitoring program results for the Wolf Lake waste disposal site. The current monitoring network at Wolf Lake consists of 10 groundwater wells and 3 surface water locations. And you can see the map shows the positions of all of the monitoring points across the site. There's some monitors up gradient of the waste disposal area to monitor the background conditions. And then there's some wells and surface waters positioned down gradient of the site at different distances to monitor the migration of the leachate plume and the attenuation. So based on the results of the 2025 groundwater and surface water program, Pynchon has identified some impacts near the site, so in the wells that are located close to the waste deposits, but we observe that those impacts are attenuating with distance down gradient of the site. So we see some improved concentrations at the further down gradient wells. And then there is still additional property available before the actual property boundary down gradient. So the site is operating as designed as a natural attenuation facility, and there's no significant impacts. So we recommend for 2026 that we continue with the groundwater, surface water, and landfill gas monitoring in the spring and fall. The landfill gas monitoring is monitored in the groundwater well locations. And then we also recommend that the regular annual topographic surveys for the site should continue in 2026 with the next survey this fall to facilitate the continued updated site lifespan estimates. And to summarize the remaining site capacity results based on the 2025 survey, the Wolf Lake site approved fill area is 1.2 hectares. So based on that fill area, the total capacity available in the site is about 54,000 cubic meters of waste. So we compared the 2025 survey to the 2024 survey to calculate the volumetric difference in the amount of waste that's been placed between the two surveys. So we calculated 2,045 cubic meters were placed, which results in an in-place waste volume estimated to be 19,000 cubic meters. And comparing that in-place waste to the total capacity of 54,000, the remaining capacity in the site was calculated to be about 35,000 cubic meters. And then we calculated the running average deposition rate in order to calculate the lifespan for the site. So we, instead of just using the 24 versus 25 rate, we use an average over a 4 or 5 year period to calculate the lifespan to account for like fluctuating fill rates year to year. So our average was based on the 4-year period between 2022 to 2025. And it was calculated to be 2,197 meters cubed per year, which resulted in a lifespan of about 16 years for Wolf Lake. For the Bear Creek waste disposal site, the monitoring network consists of 6 groundwater wells and 6 surface water monitoring locations. And based on the results from 2025 for groundwater and surface water, we have not identified any significant impacts at Bear Creek. I think the only trigger exceedances were for iron, which is not a significant concern and was interpreted to be related to background conditions. So we recommend in 2026 to continue with the routine groundwater, surface water, and landfill gas monitoring in the spring and fall, and the regular topographic surveys at this site as well in the fall of 2026. And to summarize the remaining capacity results based on the 2025 survey, for Bear Creek, the approved fill area is 1.1 hectares with a total capacity of 40,000 meters cubed. So it's a bit smaller of a site. And then the annual deposition rate based on the comparison of the 2025 and 2024 surveys was 560 cubic meters, which results in the in-place volume of about 29,000 cubic meters and a remaining capacity of about 10,000 cubic meters. The running average deposition rate is calculated between 2022 and 2025 to be 1,278 cubic meters and resulted in the lifespan of about 8 years for Bear Creek. And we just wanted to note that the lifespan increased at Bear Creek this year a little bit, and that was just due to the low volume that was calculated in 2025, which decreased that running average waste disposal rate. And Tim, if you want to go over the expansion process at Bear Creek.
Sure, I can do that for sure. So, as Alana pointed out, for Bear Creek, it's a smaller site. It's approved for 40,000 cubic meters. So that classifies it as a small landfill site with the Ministry of the Environment. So under that, we're allowed to, the most we could do is double it. We could go from 40 to 80,000. So that's what we're proposing to do. or as close to that as we can and still fit within the constraints. So we did a couple of different things. One, we wanted to figure out like what was our deposition rate, like Alana said, and then the ministry typically does not like to see us work outside of a planning period of 30 years. So what I've done is try to use that rate that Alana's come up with and make sure that we're not going to be, beyond a 30-year window. And then the other thing we did was we looked at expansion areas through some GIS overlaying layers, just to make sure that we're staying away from airports, we're staying away from potable water wells, we're staying away from other sensitive receptors that might limit our expansion potential. And then I tried to work within the property boundaries as we have them, and just do some slight modifications to the layout based on the site visit that Alana and I did last year, and taking into account some site-specific conditions there. This site, I don't know if everyone's been to it, but you drive in, and just before you get to the waste pile, on your left-hand side, there's a bedrock knob that's there. So, if we just tried to do this from our desk, you could, place the waste mound theoretically anywhere you want, but in reality, that bedrock knob is going to eat up a lot of your space. So what we're trying to do is stay off the bedrock knob for a couple of reasons. One, we don't want it to eat up the space. Two, we think that it provides a really nice physical barrier for groundwater flow and that sort of thing. As Alana alluded to, we're pretty confident with the groundwater monitoring network that everything flows to the east. But if we ended up going on the other side of the bedrock knob, maybe there's a component of flow that goes to the west. So we're trying to avoid that because we don't want to expand the well network to the west if we don't have to. So Alana, maybe you could flip to the next one and we could just take a look at the conceptual design. So right now, I overlaid the design. I'm proposing that we increase the fill area from 1.1 to 1.9. And now that I'm looking at this, maybe I didn't do the best job laying it out, but there's a black dashed line that kind of sits in a diamond pattern. It's underlaying what I'm proposing. That is the approved landfill footprint. It doesn't really make sense like the way that it's oriented because the points of that diamond kind of encroach on your property line. So what we want to do is make sure we maintain a buffer area around the landfill, between the landfill disposal area and the property lines. The other thing we took into consideration that I didn't put on here because I didn't want to muddy it up, but is Alana's monitoring wells. So when you look at, if we were to put the overlay on here where Alana's monitoring wells are, we've also taken that into consideration so that I'm not overprinting any of the monitoring wells. Those devices are an asset in themselves. If we ever have to repair them or replace them, decommission them, that's a lot of money. I know a lot of you guys are familiar with well drilling and well drilling costs. It's a lot of money. So we're doing everything in our power to preserve that. Plus the database that goes with them and the history that you have on this site with the water quality. As soon as you drill a new well, like things change. So we're really trying to maintain that consistency for the program. So you can see here, I've tried to put in a landfill cell that kind of mirrors the property boundary in its shape. As per regulation 232, the MOE regulation for landfill standards, you're allowed to have a 4-to-1 side slope on your landfill, and then it has to be a 20-to-1 crown. So it's probably really hard, if not impossible, to see on this, but you'll notice the groundwater or the green contours that Alana and I have developed for the proposed landfill cell. Where they end, they kind of merge into the yellow existing ground. So we're trying to take into account, how does our waste pile eventually, where it ends, how does it tie into the existing topography? So we've designed this so it's not a super, obstructive thing. You're not going to see it from the highway. It's not going to look like a ski hill. It's, you know, it's actually going to be below the tree line. And long story short, the total capacity gets expanded to about 75,000 cubic meters. So we won't necessarily trigger any environmental assessment process or anything like that. You could make it bigger if you wanted to. Just understand that if you trigger an environmental assessment, then you're into a 7-year review process on average, right? By the time if you go through that EA process, you'd have to get a technical terms of reference approved by the ministry, which usually takes a couple of years, and then you'd have to do all the baseline studies and everything else. And then, yeah, it usually takes years and years to get that approved. So, anyways, that's what we've done for conceptual design and layout of this. And I think, Lana, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think our team has also drafted a design and operations plan of, you know, how we would use. Oh, thank you, Lana. So yeah, we're working on the design and operations plan of how would we maximize the use of that proposed landfill cell. And that has to go in the application so you can demonstrate to the ministry that you've thought it through, like how are we actually going to build this, how are we going to use it. So it's pretty neat in that we're gonna do it sequentially. It's going to be very small. Like we probably divide something like that into 6 to 8 individual cells. And, you know, you're only going to work on one cell at a time. You're not going to have a great big waste mound there. And that helps you with potential progressive closure and that sort of thing. In parallel to that, we have to do a hydrogeological assessment. The ministry is not going to let you expand a landfill that already has issues with respect to the environment. So like Alana said, we're not seeing anything at this site that would be a showstopper that would say, hey, let's put the brakes on this and not proceed. So we're going to have to do a full hydrogeological assessment of, you know, what does this landfill look like today? What are we anticipating in the future? And what would be our monitoring program in the future? And then, yeah, from there, we have to reach out to the MECP technical support team in Northern Ontario. So they will have a groundwater reviewer and a surface water reviewer. Once we have comments from them and they're in agreement with our approach, then Alana can proceed with the ECA application, and that would then go to Toronto to the approvals branch, and they would take their turn at reviewing it. So there's still a lot of steps in this process. I don't want to mislead anybody and make you think that, you know, we're close to the end. But we have made some really good progress over 2025, and I'm pretty confident with, you know, where we're at in the process. And yeah, no, I think at that point, I'll leave that for now. I'm sure you guys have questions, but I think Alana just wants to touch on one last topic, and then we can circle back to this if there's any questions.
Yeah, so we'll just go over the 2025 closure and post-closure liability estimates report as well. So we reassessed the annual liabilities for both the Wolf Lake and Bear Creek sites with the Public Sector Accounting Board standards. And we used the inflation and discount rates that are published by the MECP for financial assurance. And the inflation rate this year was 5.61%, and the discount rate was minus 3.31% for sites which are expected to close within 30 years. So the MECP has different rates depending on the lifespan of the sites. And then the liabilities are also based on the remaining lifespan. So for Bear Creek, the 8 years, and Wolf Lake of 16 years, as well as an additional 25-year post-closure monitoring period, which is the minimum monitoring period prescribed by the MECP. So to summarize, for both of the sites, the 2026 estimated liabilities for Bear Creek was about 1.3 million, and for Wolf Lake was about 1 million. So the total was about 2.5 million. And the change in liability of this year compared to our estimates last year was about 250,000. And that's just due to the increased inflation rates and the change in the lifespans, the extra year. So that's all if anyone has any questions.
Yes, I do. On the Bear Creek expansion process. So with that model that you have written down, you know, the one with the green delineation lines. So you're changing the orientation of the dump site. Am I correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So is that going to require any more wells or changing the location of wells?
It shouldn't. We've taken that into consideration. We've tried to protect the wells that are there. So yeah, so the pretty much the eastern extent of the landfill, the proposed landfill expansion, stops short of the existing wells that are out there. It is possible that through the ECA application process that the ministry would ask for additional wells as part of their conditions of approval. But I guess our hydro-G assessment will indicate whether or not we need more, but based on our preliminary review, I don't see a need for them right now. That would be, again, it would be probably driven by the ministry more than by us.
Okay, and how deep would these wells have to go, or do they just go to bedrock?
Yeah, these are all shallow overburden wells. It seems like the overburden is the predominant groundwater flow path for, you know, anything that percolates through the landfill. The bedrock out there is all pretty competent, and although it's, you know, it'd be good enough to supply a household or something like that if you drill deep enough. Really, the predominant pathway is that, you know, typically you have like a silty material, and then right at the bedrock interface, you have like a, you know, probably some weathered bedrock, or we call it a basal till unit. The basal till unit seems to be the one that propagates the flow. So yeah, we wouldn't need to even go into bedrock. It's probably just drill to bedrock. If we went into bedrock, it would just be to, you know, a 5-foot sump so that we could collect enough water for sampling if we had to.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
I like the layout for Bear Creek. It's doesn't change a whole lot. It's going to be really accessible the way you have it. But I have a question on Wolf Lake. 16 years left. In the next 4 or 5 years, should we be approaching you to start a process on expanding Wolf Lake? And that would give you 10 years roughly to
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt, because I know for some of us it sounds like, you know, 16 years is a long time away, but in reality that's going to go by in a blink. And then yeah, what do you do? The interesting thing about waste management, you know, solid waste management is it is evolving very, very quickly. You know, some of the changes we've seen in the recycling program are providing opportunities for smaller municipalities that were never there before. You know, we've had clients before that really struggled with, you know, what do we do with our glass? We could never find a market for glass. Well, now that we're in this, you know, in this new recycling regime, that doesn't seem to be a problem, because these big entities take the glass, and with the volumes that they have, they can find a market for it. It also opens up opportunities for, you know, new streams of plastics and stuff like that. Before we had, you know, small municipalities could only take, you know, types 1, 2, and 3 plastics. Well, now, you know, we can take up to 7. So I think with the recycling, and we'll need a couple of years before we have enough data to see how it is really working. But it is promising in that the world is changing with respect to waste management. I think our users are becoming much more educated as well. So diversion is happening at home. So yeah, I'm on a soapbox here, and I apologize, but long story short, I know it seems like a long time away, but yeah, just with the process and how long it takes to get things done, I think that probably is a good timeline. Like 6 years from now, yeah, you probably should be looking at Wolf and what the options are and what the feasibility of expansion of that site would be.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else got questions? Well, Tim and Alana, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very well done, and we're all up to date again.
Yeah, looks great. Thanks so much for the opportunity to work with everyone in Nipissing. We really do appreciate it, and Chris is a great client to have. So I'm happy to work with your staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, now we'll move on to staff reports. Oh, committee reports first. Councillor Foot.
Is she frozen again? She's frozen again.
Oh, Councillor Chalapinkle.
Nothing for me this week.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Scott.
Nothing for me.
Councillor Turkey.
I have two. The Police Services Board met on April 13th. I dropped off the annual report for specific to Nipissing. I dropped off at the office. You'll see it probably next meeting in your correspondence because I was a little late dropping it off. So we did go over the stats for the first quarter, and they were looking good for the whole area. Like Crime Stoppers. Again, if the township calls Crime Stoppers, you want signs up saying to advertise for Crime Stoppers, they have the metal signs that they put out, and you get those for free. So anyway, if you want to, Cecil Facer is closing. Okay. What the other communities in the area are suggesting, because now juveniles are going to Thunder Bay, they will have to be flown to Thunder Bay and flown back for court cases. It's just, and the crux of the whole thing is crime is down. Youth crime is down because of police engagement, because we've had community engagement and all that, and it's working. So we don't have the amount of kids going to Cecil Facer. So now the province has said, well, we don't need it anymore. So, and the infrastructure for these kids, the first timers and that are not potential career criminals, if they would have had their families and somebody close, that infrastructure to turn them around. Well, those families are not going to be going to Thunder Bay. So anyway, so the recommendation from other communities in the zone, in the northeastern zone, is to have councils write a letter of support to keep Cecil Facer open. So I'm bringing that to the table tonight to do that, because I would like to see it. I realize it's an old institution. It's been there for mid-60s, I think it opened up. Anyway, so So that's that. Also have a second mental health clinician joining the crisis team. You know, on the ride-alongs. Well, this is a clinician, this is a nurse who specializes in mental health. We'll be going out with officers to help out. And then we're bringing on the spring initiative, which is ride programs and motor information cards. Because there's new rules coming down for boating too. They have to be registered now. Well, re-registered every 10 years, I think it is. Anyway, so what they're going to be doing is going around with boater information cards and with the list of offenses, the cost of offenses, and they'll be giving to all the resorts. And instead of them going into the garbage, they're actually going to bring a rack for the cards. So they'll have a place to put them. Okay. Looking to have our tent in place for Heritage Day, or when we do our Heritage Day. And Sean and Carrie are going to the police conference this year. That'll be taken care of by people. Anyway, so, and that's all I have for Police Services Board, Library Board. We deferred our AI policy because things have changed since we tried to write it the first time. So it's getting interesting. The TD Reading Club, we got a $2,000 grant from the TD Reading Club. And we get the $2,000, but we have to send somebody to Calgary to get it. But they want them at the conference, at the TD conference. So they're paying the ticket. TD is paying the ticket. So we're going to send Bria out to the conference. So, and that's fine. We had our annual audit. We approved it. I believe it's going to be signed this morning. She didn't have the signed copy this morning, so they're signing it this morning. And we have 8 applicants for the CEO job. Okay. No, and I got a stack of applications at home to read. Some of them are pretty. I was surprised. I didn't expect, because we're such a small library, I didn't expect that we would get. We got some pretty interesting stuff in there, and some of it's run of the mill, but some of it's pretty good. We got the new copier and the new contract, and it's a better copier, it's faster, and it's cheaper to operate, and the people we got it from estimate will save $1,300 a year just on the same amount of copies that we do now. We'll get $1,300 a year less, so that's worth it. May 28th, you wanted to, at 1 o'clock, Dr. Gauthier will be doing the presentation on May.
Is it April or May?
May 28th. 1 o'clock. I knew you wanted information on that, so. And again, I think I said this last time, Friends of the Library, they will do the fireplace around, and they're gonna redo the kitchen. They're gonna, and Home Hardware, I believe, is pretty good a deal on price. So anyway, and May events. Yes, May 28th. And that's photo contest. Forest Farm Workshop will be, oh, wait a minute. I may be wrong. That may be April 28th. Sorry, April 28th. We're going to, it's at the beginning, it said May on top of this. Forest Farm Workshop on May 2nd. That is a paid workshop. and jewelry swap on Thursday, May the 7th. And an author talk with John Levesque at 1 p.m. on the 13th. And scrapbooking with Jen from Creative Memories on the 19th. And Service Canada, Services for Newcomers on May the 27th. Because we have quite a few newcomers, specifically the people working at East Home.
Yeah.
And they, guess they're gonna do a workshop for them. And then another Forest to Farm workshop on the 30th. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Councillor Perky. Councillor Foot.
Nothing for me today.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna get John Paul to give us a Frechette update.
Just for everyone on the lake there at Dave, Yam, Tom Piper, and myself, we attend the SNF Sturgeon Nipissing French Committee meetings. Right now, the current status, there's a flood warning in effect for Southern Sturgeon River, Upper Ottawa River, French River watershed. Lake Nipissing is rising rapidly. We're going about 6 centimeters to 8 centimeters a day for this week. Some days it even feels like 10. There's a flood watch issued for Lake Nipissing. As the lake rises, a flood warning could be put in place shortly. The local creeks have generally peaked and are receding. For weather and forecast, the 5-day precipitation is 3 millimeters, so that's to the good. There's cooling trends with overnight freezing temperatures may temporarily slow the snow melt, but the gradual warming midweek could renew runoff and lake inflows. So for the water management strategy, the primary objective is balancing rising Lake Nipissing levels with downstream capacity in the French River. Increase discharge to the French River underway to reduce pressure on Lake Nipissing and avoid larger, more damaging releases later in the Frechette. The current approach is expecting to bring French River levels near the 2019 flood conditions. And just like attending the meetings, French River's been really good. Like they're taking the water and they're high right now. And they're still willing to take more. OPG right now for Lake Temagami, they're continuing to use storage and build elevation. They reduced the flow on April 17th, which provided a small decline in discharge. And they're also using storage on Cross Lake, Red Cedar, and Tomaco. But they're trying to hold some back. It's not going to be the biggest, but it's something. They're trying to hold back. Key risks: Lake Nipissing continued rapid rise could approach maximum non-damage levels. And in the French River, elevated flows and water levels are comparable once again to the 2019 flood event. The city of North Bay is on the call. Their wastewater treatment plants at risk if the lake levels approach critical elevation. We have some key thresholds. So the plant weir is 197.1 meters in North Bay. The flood limit's 196.59. And see, that's that flood right of 196.59. So once they reach that, they can have the right to open up everything. So, and the 2019 water level, just out of interest, was at 196.579. It was really close to the 196.59. So, but luckily they didn't reach that level that year. Just some technical numbers. The 195.8 is the normal operating range in Lake Nipissing. 196.06 meters is the current level. At the end of the week, we are projecting to meet or surpass the non-damaged flood limit. And that flood limit's 196.22 meters. And just something neat, 204 millimeter of rain from March 1st to April 15th. We just had a lot of rain this season. This has been a lot. That's what's contributed to all this.
That's more than double
Yeah,
a
than
normal
our usual.
season, so.
Current flows in the Temagami 0 CMS because they're holding back. Red Cedar's at 107 CMS. Tomaco is at 83. Crystal Falls, that's a big one, 495 CMS. That's a lot of water coming. Nipissing 138, so that's at Nipissing GS. And even those numbers are high for South River system. Doesn't do a big effect to the lake, but those are higher numbers than I've seen in a while. Woolsey Bay is at 527 CMS. dry pine being at 621. So CMS is cubic meters per second, is for the viewers at home. And yeah, Nipissing GS 138 says CMS. So the outlook is short-term stabilization, possible with cooler temperatures. Ongoing snow melt and future rainfalls remain the key risk drivers. So if we get rain, it's just keep hoping there's no more rain events, because even right now, there's so much water coming from the north.
Yeah.
And those lakes are frozen, and there's just a lot of content. So this coordinated water management will continue to balance the impacts between the lake and the river systems. Next steps, continue daily monitoring, coordination among the agencies. We continue with our sandbag program in the township. And the next Frechette meeting is April 22nd, 2026. And we'll keep updating to council as conditions evolve. But looks like there's still gonna be a lot of water coming down our way, so.
And they're saying this lake's gonna remain high for weeks.
Yeah.
So,
If you haven't done it, barrel up the docks.
Can I add on that? Can I add on that?
Yeah.
So we did get some positive news. The Nipissing generating station on April 15th was at a code orange. On the 20th, we moved to a code yellow, which is down. And today at around 2:30, we went to a code blue. So it's still potential for flooding, but not as bad. So they're still gonna continue monitoring, but we're out of the woods pretty much for that.
thanks, Will. Dan, can I get you to do us a road update?
Yeah, I'll give you a road update. So on April 14th with the heavy rains, the two pipes on South River Road that we replaced last year, the 10-foot pipe was running 3/4 full. The overflow was running half to 3/4. With the heavy flow coming down, we had to put more riprap in the front because it was starting to erode the in between the two pipes. But once we riprapped it up some more, it held, so that worked out fine. Wolf Lake, had that closed for a couple days, just with the flooding over the road was there, but it was just flooded over. So we've grade raised the areas, so the Wolf Lake's back open, and then we'll probably do a little more of a grade raise in the summer. And then that should eliminate that problem in the future. Granite Hill pipe, we had one washout on us. It was a plastic pipe we installed last year. It was the lowest point of the road, and it kind of floated out into the swamp. But we can retrieve it. We're gonna probably put a steel pipe back in place instead of the plastic. Whenever it happens again, we're gonna do a bit of a grade raise there also. So we put river rock in where the pipe was, so people could pass over and let the water through the river rock without damaging tires or anything like that. Pilgers Road was closed for a little bit because there was water at the bridge going over the top of the road, but the water receded really fast, which was a good thing for us. Yeah, basically, we had a few pipes, like one on the Alsace got overwhelmed, washed some fines away, so we had a drop there. There's a few pipes like that showed their age, but we're gonna replace them in the summer. It's patched up now, but we'll replace them in the summer. They're on a list to replace. And yeah, the crew did an awesome job. I mean, we had less than 10 hours of overtime with all the running around we were doing, so.
Did a good job.
We got it back quick. The waters receded real quick. That was they came up real fast, but they started receding real fast, so we could get on things quickly.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes hard, eh? Like Granite Hill, once it starts, you can't stop it. It's
The
just.
retention of water in all those swamps, it's amazing to see off the 522 how much water it's actually holding.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, other than that, all the roads are open now. Like I said, we'll just start repairing. We'll put the culvert in next week on Granite Hill. And we pretty much everything will be done.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
I had a Pines meeting. I'll go real quick. So our Kochi elevator project is going to start the end of May. All the parts are being shipped in there and being stored. So it'll be down for 2 months, operating by July, the end of July. Our new privacy fences that were installed last year, the concrete on the post is starting to break away on some. So the company is gonna be good for it, but it was just noticed as the snow went away. So probably a little too much water in the cement. I would think. We had a quote done on our heat cables for the roofs to get the ice off the roofs, get the water away. And we're gonna try and get 2 more quotes, and we're gonna try and get DSAT to help us with the funding, because it's more than what we thought it would be, but it's a job that needs to be done. We renewed, or we looked at our financial March 2026 transaction reports, income statements, and that's all I have. Any questions? And April 19th is the start of National Volunteer Week. I would want to take a moment on behalf of council to thank and celebrate all the committee members, event volunteers, and our firefighters that come out to support the township through the various activities and events that take place each year. Every contribution, big or small, creates lasting memories, helps to inspire others, strengthens inclusivity, belonging, and the well-being of our community. It is because of all of you that we are able to offer amazing programs, events, and keep our community safe. We thank you for your time, your dedication. We could not do it without you. Thank you, everyone. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Scott. Councillor Kirky. That the minutes of the regular council meeting held April 7th, 2026 be adopted and published. All in favor? Oh, yeah. This part of our meeting is declared a public meeting pursuant to the provisions of section 3412 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, to discuss an application for a change to zoning bylaw 2020-20 by the Township of Nipissing. So I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Chalapinko. And Councillor Foot. Do you want to speak on this, John Paul, before I read it?
This is the one on Pilgers. They did a consent last summer. So one of the conditions for provisional consent was to get the boundaries adjusted 120 meters past the EP land, because they didn't do a study. So he's just meeting his condition now to rezone an extra 120 meter buffer around the EP land. Then he can meet that condition of consent, and it's getting close to finishing it now, so. That's what we asked for, so he's going on good now.
Everybody good? Okay. And we passed bylaw number 2026-15, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2020-20. Read this first, second, and third time and passed this 21st day of April 2026. All in favor? Carried. And I need a mover and a seconder, Councillor Kirky. Counselor Scott. John Paul, would you like to?
Yeah, so this is for a food stand. Right now, the zoning doesn't permit a food stand. This is down by the corner of Alsace and Highway 522. So they're looking to do a little food stand there, and like hamburgers, pierogies, and sounds good, actually.
It's a nice idea.
Yeah, it's- But they're just, they had need a zoning bylaw amendment though in order to do that. They had provided all the proper studies. There was they did a little scoped environmental impact study, which came favorable as a supporting document. They talked to the MTO. Probably have to do a lot more work eventually with the health unit, things like that, but they meet all our specs of our official plan with parking, buffering, screening, and they've gone along, and the planner has supported their application, so I don't know if there's any questions in the crowd or anybody, but they seem to, like, they support it.
Yeah.
To pass it.
Any questions? That we pass bylaw number 2026-16, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2020-20, read this first, second, and third time and pass this 21st day of April 2026. All in favor? Carried.
Section out in that corner anyway.
That's right. I need a mover and a seconder. Counselor Foot. Counselor Chellapinko. That we pass bylaw number 2026-17, being a bylaw to appoint a compliance audit committee under the Municipal Elections Act for the corporation and the township of Nipissing. Read this first, second, and third time and passed this 21st day of April 2026. All in favor?
Are these local people?
Yes.
Oh,
Well, okay, so our compliance audit committee is a shared committee that we advertise for. So one is from, I believe, East Ferris, one's from Bonneville.
Oh, okay.
two are from Nipissing, so, and everybody appoints them separately.
oh, awesome.
All in favor? Carried. And I need a mover and a seconder. Scott. Counselor Turkey. That the Township of Nipissing supports the appointment of Counselor Linda Elkins, Municipality Calendar, to the Area 6 vacancy on the District of Parry Sound Social Services Administration Board. All in favor? the mover and the seconder. Councillor Turkey. Councillor Chalatenko. That we approve the spring 2026 newsletter for circulation as presented. All in favor? Carried.
This is just to discuss the proposed changes to the user fee bylaw. For any comments, and then we will come forward at the next council meeting for adoption.
Has everybody had a chance to read it?
Mhm.
The biggest change were to the landfill fees. To try and make it easier for the landfill to estimate the fee. So taking out piece by piece pricing and going with a full pickup truckload at $50, half a load at 25, and a quarter or less at 10. And then once we implement the new electronic landfill card system with the swipe cards, a replacement card, if you lose your card, will be $10. And we changed the watercraft pricing, so for a full boat, it's 150, that stays, but for paddle boats, kayaks, and canoes, 50.
It's the consent agreement.
John.
I say one of the conditions and,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the last application we had with the consent agreement, on Ruth Lake, the Altmans. One of their conditions was to get a consent agreement as a condition of severance. We don't have it in our user fees for doing consent agreements, so we had to put it in order to.
That's why we added it.
Yeah. It's much like a site plan control agreement that gets registered on title. They're almost identical in my opinion, but we have to do it.
For the fitness center, the swipe card, which we usually ask $10, and that's a refundable fee. So when the swipe card comes back, we refund the $10. We've just done an order and they're actually over $15 now. So we'll put that up. That is a refundable fee. That's just so that if it gets lost, then we can replace it. And the mileage rate went up as per the CRA rate. So we always go by the Canada rate. Okay. Nothing bigger.
Everybody good with that?
Okay, come forward at the next council meeting. for approval.
So correspondence, District of Parry Sound Municipal Association spring agenda. So we need to know who wants to go. It's in Kearney.
Sounds like Kirky would like to go.
James.
Councilor Scott,
Shall we?
Okay.
Councillor.
Shelley's gonna go with you?
Yes, please.
You go? Are you working?
Yeah, I'll go.
Lisa's coming.
okay.
You're doing the DSAB too. The stuff we're seeing this week.
We're gonna send one member of staff as well.
That's the Clear Sound District.
Mhm.
Yeah. You didn't stand back quick enough, did you?
No, I'm good to go, Counselor Gerke.
There's 5 on my truck too.
I can take
It don't matter to me, like, I don't mind driving, it's cheap,
I'll
so.
put a chair in the back, in the box.
it. It's only to Kearney anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on. Regional Municipality of Waterloo, notice of motion, community safety and well-being plan. East Perry Sound Community Support Services, one-time funding, stay on your feet program. A Magwin Highland Secondary School Graduation Award Program. So we've always donated $100 to it. Everybody's good with that?
Yes,
Yep.
please.
Okay.
That'll come up in the next one.
Yes, that'll come on the
On
next
the
announcement.
next, yeah, and Municipality of Powassan 2026, Powassan Maple Syrup Festival donation receipt. So we always get a donation. Everybody good with that?
It's, on your feet, is that a program like chair yoga, is that?
It's a bit different. We've run it here before.
Okay. Would it be possible to hand this to Margaret?
We already have it for next meeting.
Oh, do you? Perfect, then I say no more, you guys are all over it.
I need a mover, seconder. That we received the correspondence reported as presented. All in favor? I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Chilipinko. Councillor Foot. That the statement of accounts dated April 10th, 11th, and 16th, 2026 totaling $181,324.22 be approved. All in favor? Carried. Need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Gerke. That we pass bylaw number 2026-18, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on April 21st, 2026. Read this first, second, third time and passed on the 21st day of April 2026. All in favor? I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Scott. Councillor Foot. That the meeting be adjourned at 7:35 PM. Next regular council meeting to be held May 5th, 2026. All in favor? Carried.
What was with this one?
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Shelley?
when council approved that resolution for the lake cleanup,
Yeah,
part of that resolution was for us to create a resolution to go to the minister regarding our concerns. So this is the draft letter that would go to the minister with some points. So I would just like some input from council for the next council meeting. So you can get me your comments or anything you'd like to see changed or
and
added.
this is what'll get sent in everybody else's communications.
What we'll do is we'll send that letter to the Minister of the Environment with a copy to Victor Deli,
Yeah,
and then a copy of our letter with a resolution saying, they're like,
what we've decided on.
we will pass a resolution saying that we're gonna send that letter, and then we send that to communities around us for their support.
With this high water going to be here, our spawn will be a disaster. The water will become spawning beds.
Yeah,
Is there any decision on the cemetery for the time?
Yes, I
but does
sent
that
out
have
the
anything
agenda
to do with the
packet
ice shack?
today, and it has
What
to
does that have
be,
to do with the ice shack?
that was.
Okay,
At 1 p.m.
Sorry?
Is that a Friday?
No, it's Wednesday.
Tens of
But I
thousands.
didn't hear back from Brett.
Commercial.
And, that was the only one that we have for on that.
Years down the road.
May 20th.
Oh, yeah.
That's right, May 20th. 1 PM. All right, I gotta inform Jimmy now so that he knows.
And
I mean,
it's at 1
have to
o'clock,
leave.
but
We don't want to
it's
stop
only gonna
business,
be,
we wanna.
there's really nothing on the agenda.
It be here. So I may have to bring the dump truck here.
Well, and I get
It'll be
that they should,
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay, no, as long as I can let him know, so I don't screw him around too much.
So we had the calls meeting, but Rod wanted one, because he wants an update on what's going on with the outside cemetery expansion.
So we should be supporting that more with any monies that come in if we can.
Certificate, assigned certificate. Yeah.
10-4. Oh,
Where we are with the fence.
We can't use care and maintenance for the fences, so we're just gonna have to, I can change that, I can change it, we're gonna have to.
They were doing the Nipsey Union today.
I saw the post.
Most were there last year, but they were finishing off, the rest of it. This year. They got an early jump on it.
Yeah.
I just need to price on that. Care and maintenance wasn't ready.
what time do you want to leave? And,
Thursday?
yeah. You want me to drive? You pick me up on your way out, right?
Anybody interested on Thursday evening at 6:30, I believe it is at City Hall.
6:30? I told quite a few people about that. I told quite a few people about that.
Well, it's a great education session, and Nigel Belchamber is excellent as well.
Good.
So, I mean, we had Nigel and Fred do council training for this term of council, a full day for the mayor, and a full day for council.
Cool.
Down in Almega, and so this time we got included with city board today. So it was, it's a condensed version of what they usually get. But and he's a really dynamic speaker. He has a lot of history.
Yeah.
So he's seen it all.
So he's not just reading from a.
Oh, gosh, no, and he's
Cool.
done moderation of political debates and all that. So
Oh.
he's very, and he's very personal. So I'm excited to see.
How long are we expecting? 3 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm hoping that anybody that wants to run, go and they get a real.
Even people that like to comment and complain would be probably.
I've been sharing it every single week to Amanda what's happening just because. And they will pay attention.
It's not being it.
All I can do.
Take care, Betty.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah, 8.
8? It starts at 10.
Oh, it starts, no, 8:30 then.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, 8:30.
Yeah.
That's Thursday, that's the day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
Drive safe.
Yeah, see you there.
Thank you.